Hi everyone, welcome to part 3 of painting and weathering the Tiger. In this video I'm going to start off with the dark chips and then weathering as I go. For the colour for the dark chips I'm going to use some Vallejo chocolate brown. Using a finely pointed brush I start applying the chips very small and then build them up as you go. Here I am painting around the hatches. As I said before, start small and build them up. Bear in mind the crew are getting in and out with maybe hobnail boots on. You can build these chips up around the edge of the hatch and you can make them as heavy or as light as you want. If you want to add a heavy worn look to your vehicle, add some chips to the tool clamps where the tools have been taken on or off the vehicle. Remember that the jack would have had quite a lot of heavy use, so here I am just building the chips up more and more as I go. And here's the dark chipping finished on the lower hull. And now for the turret. The spare track hangers would get quite a lot of use, so I've heavily chipped these to show more wear. Here I am just pointing out where I've chipped quite heavily around the cruise hatches, the commander here, loader, and all over the rear deck and the stowage bin. Using a Tamiya chrome pen, I'll now use the paint from this to start off painting the reflector. Now using this colour, I'll start painting the sprockets where the paint has worn off and also around the steel wheels. Now using some Vallejo pale sand, I paint around the wheels where I've gone over a little bit with the chrome. And around the edge of the reflector. Taking some Vallejo flat brown, which is a good colour for red oxide, the undercoat that was used, I now paint the chips in and around the zimmerit. On the side skirt and around the hatches. To paint the reflector lens, I now take some Tamiya clear red and paint over the silver that I applied earlier. And using some of the pale sand colour, I just went around the edges of the reflector. To add small dirt splashes and marks, I'll now use some oilbrusher, dark brown and some starship base sludge. Put these in the palette with a little bit of enamel thinner. Take a cocktail stick and speckle these all over the lower running gear. On the rear engine deck, as well as the front of the vehicle and on the turret. Tanks and armoured vehicles pick up a lot of rubbish and stains, and this is a good way of replicating it. If you want to remove some of the speckling, just take some clear thinner and a soft brush and just blend it away. To highlight the exhaust and give it its first effects, I use some Vallejo London Grey and white Mix these together and then start blending it onto the exhaust. Trying to keep the top of the exhaust quite white, and I'll add a few more white dots to this and blend them in as I go, as you'll see. I also apply these colours to some of the spare tracks at the start of the weathering process. Here you can see the different light grey tones to the tracks. Now using some kitchen sponge and the same light colour mix, now dab it in and then apply this to the exhaust, just to add a different colour now and a different tone as we go along. I've also applied some sticky tape around the exhaust just to protect the model. As I said earlier, now applying some of the lighter mixture, painting it around the top of the exhaust and blending it in. Now using some Vallejo flat brown and the sponge technique again, I add this colour to the exhaust. Then taking a brush with the colour, start painting it around the bottom and blending it upwards. Once again using a finely pointed brush, I'll now take some of this flat brown and just add the rust spots to the top of the shrouds. Here you can see the effect of the flat brown chipping I've done, and just blended it using some ordinary tap water. I've done it on both sides now. Taking some MIG streaking rust effects and some thinner, I now apply this over the acrylic paint and it just gives it another tone. Given the streaking rust effect time to dry a good few hours, I'll now use a light rust wash and go over it again, blending it in as I do. Make sure you don't remove the effects that you've added earlier of the washes. Now using 502 Absalom's cream brown oil paint, I dot this on and then blend this in with a soft brush. And it just gives another tone to the different colours you'll see on an exhaust. Now taking some white oil paint, I dot this around the top of the exhaust and blend this in. Again, it adds another tone to the metal in that area. Taking some oilbrusher dark brown, I now dot this around the lower part of the exhaust where the armoured shroud is, and then blend this in. Again, it gives another tone. Here you see the effect of all the blending of the colours. 24 hours after letting these dry, I now take some burnt sienna oil paint and add the final rust tone. As you can see, adding it and blending it. Don't forget the top of the exhaust shrouds. For the dark dirt runs that you see on the vehicle, I now take some oilbrusher dark brown and Starship base sludge. Dot these along the side of the side skirts. And with a soft brush, dampened with clean thinner, I'll then just drag them down. Do this all around the vehicle. Don't forget the turret. The rear stowage bin. And the gun. Here you can see the effects of the dark run stains, and it is quite effective. As a point of interest, you will get dirt and dust streaking on horizontal surfaces because armoured vehicles aren't always parked on a parade square, but on slopes, hills, etc. on the battlefield. Thanks for watching. In the next video I'll show you how I've rusted the spare tracks and started on the tools. Don't forget to like and subscribe, tell your mates, it's free.